this is why lead generation, at least the way that you're doing lead generation, may be actually hurting you. So when we talk about real estate, we need to talk about the fact that it's a relationship-based industry. And way too many of us are focused too hard on getting new leads, right? Like new leads is apparently the lifeblood that's going to keep our business growing, when in reality, that's just not true. And I'm going to talk about today why the statistics are not in your favor with generic lead generation, as well as how this hurts your presence, especially on social media, and instead some alternatives that are going to help grow your business based off of the stats, which I'm going to pull up in a second. So let's jump into this. So I want to talk about why lead generation, especially on social media, is hurting your real estate brand and business. So first and foremost, lead generation, the way that many folks are doing it, is just not effective. And there's a lot of reasons why, which I'm going to dive into in a second, but it's really because cold selling for such massive transactions and such huge financial decisions for folks is not going to work, right? Cold selling really only works with very low spend things, generally speaking, here in the digital marketing world, right? So like if you have like a $5 widget or something like that, that is where kind of cold selling and like showing an ad for somebody to click on and buy immediately, that might work. When you're deciding whether to pick a real estate agent who is going to be directly correlated with your success or failure as you buy your home, one of the three that you're ever going to own in your lifespan as an American, which is, I believe, on average the amount of homes that a person will have, which might even be less now that the economy is kind of strange and the housing market is a little tighter. But it also hurts relationships, especially when we talk about on social media. I'm going to talk about that in a second, as well as destroying your brand for future sales and future customers. But let's look really quickly at the stats on engaged leads, right? So I want to show this article really quickly from NerdWallet. And this is from January, so this may have changed a little bit as we're looking at it now in late September. But when we look at the percentage of folks in America who are looking to purchase a home in the next 12 months, as you can see here, we only have 11% of Americans are planning to purchase a home in the next 12 months. What that means is that if we're like outreaching to everybody on social media, or we're doing cold calling or door knocking, which, don't get me wrong, in the right volume can be successful in terms of just getting a transaction, that is very, very difficult to find the right folks, right? I mean, if we're thinking about it, we're looking at 11% of Americans, right? So let me pull up right here my screen right here. So if we're looking at 11% of Americans, right? So 11%. So that means if you're reaching out to folks, you have an 11% chance of getting in front of somebody as you're sending messages to actually get somebody who might be interested in buying or selling a home. So that's first, right? Maybe we can minimize that with some, intelligent targeting, and your market may vary a little bit for better or for worse. But that's only 11% of the folks we're reaching out to, if we're just doing a cold reach out of some sorts, are going to be interested in buying or selling their home in the next 12 months, right? And keep in mind that a lot of real estate agents are putting out content like, use me as your realtor, or top performing realtor, right? And so this is even really, in terms of like trying to get a lead in like 12 months, this is like, I'm trying to get a lead now, right? And that's just very unlikely to happen, right? If you reach out to 100 people on average, not accounting for your market, you're going to get in front of 11% of people who are actually thinking about buying or selling in the next 12 months, all right? That's already tough. Then on top of that, think about the fact that you already have 1,000 real estate agents in your market, right? And who knows, that's going to vary, of course, based off the market. But if you're in a more populous market, that's even more so. So on top of that, you have an 11% chance. And then you have a 1 in 1,000% chance of actually beating somebody else, another real estate agent, to the punch. And then if they know a realtor, or they know somebody who knows a realtor, which is a high likelihood, then what are the chances that you, a completely random real estate agent reaching out to them, is going to get their business versus somebody who is recommended from somebody that they know or trust, right? It's very low. So cold outreach, it can work in a high volume game, and there are some strategies there that can be effective here. But when we're talking about social media specifically, this is what's really tough. You're going to reach out to a ton of folks. It's not that effective, which means that you're going to have to reach out to a ton more just to get some results here. But then on top of that, it hurts your relationships. Actually, I'm going to come back to that in just a second. It's going to destroy your brand on social. Let's talk about this first. So when you're putting out content, right, the way that these algorithms work is it's just trying to show people content they're interested in, right? So if you do a good job of putting out content that a lot of people like, the algorithms are going to show that in front of more people. So the best way to think about algorithms is really just, is my audience interested in this, right? Because if your audience is interested in the content, then it doesn't matter what the algorithm does or says, it's going to get in front of more folks, right? More people are going to watch it, which means it's going to get recommended to more people, get in front of even more people, and that's how you ultimately can go viral. So understanding that, if you put out content that's just constantly pitching your services over and over again, that's like all that you put out there is just like a picture of you and then a thing that says, use me, top real estate agent, or even the just sold stuff. Like if you're just putting up your just sold listing or whatever, that's really tough too, because right now in this market, you don't need a lot of help once you have a property getting something sold, generally speaking, right? So wasting your social media real estate space on that is tough because it's not really effectively providing value to anyone. And on top of that, it's not really furthering your goal to ultimately build trust with somebody. So that is where content, where it features you because your face is your brand in this industry, that talks about things that are going to help folks who are interested in buying or selling or planning on it in the future, is much more effective. And we're going to talk about that more in a second. But also, if we're talking about cold calling or cold outreach to people, this can sometimes hurt your relationship, especially if you're just DMing people. You can really annoy people very easily this way. And if they're not interested, they're like, why are you targeting me? Why are you soliciting me? Everyone understands here how tough it is to cold email and cold market. Again, there are strategies, but generally speaking, it can hurt relationships because you're putting content out there to people who are not asking for it, there's only 11% chance that they're actually going to be interested in the content you're talking about. And then ultimately you could be hurting yourself down the road when that person is ready to buy or sell. They might think, I don't know who I'm going to go with, but I'm not going to go with Sally, who kept annoying me with outrage when I wasn't interested in that. So that's why sometimes it can be really tough on social media. Again, there are cold outreach strategies. I don't want to completely say that doesn't work, because there are ways that can work, and we're going to talk about that in a future video. But on social media especially, that can be very tough. So we talked about the stats on engaged leads. We talked about your chances, so to speak. But how this works with social, again, is just that your chances are very slim, and you're sacrificing your content and your brand on social media to put out this very low chance, lead generation thing. That's just, chances are it's not going to really work, right? So that is also why it hurts your social more than it helps. But let's talk now about priming your audience. So this is, instead of posting just sold content or, just listed, or use me because I'm a top performer, or here are my stats for the past year, right? That stuff that is helpful later on, once you kind of establish a little bit of a repertoire with somebody. But instead of doing this kind of content here, where you are just constantly pushing why you're so awesome, why people need to work with you, to a bunch of folks who aren't going to be interested, instead, we want to prime your audience. And this is really smart because a lot of folks, most realtors, are always fighting for the people who are looking to buy or sell right now, right? And it makes it so that you become 1/1000 chance of even succeeding there. Instead of doing that, we want to lead with content, and this is something I've talked about a lot in the past, so I won't dive too deep into it, but we want to lead with content that provides value, information, and doesn't ask anything of your audience. You have to understand that when you put out a piece of content, you already are going to be asking somebody to stop their scroll, stop their day, to watch your 30 or a minute long video, which may not seem like a lot, but keep in mind that the chances of them swiping and finding another video that's far more entertaining for them is really, really high. You're not competing with other real estate agents on social media. You're competing against Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Miley Cyrus and the Kardashians and whoever else has a brand that could show up on their feed. So when you're asking for their time to watch a video, that's not free. You're asking for their time. So that's why your content needs to be highly, highly valuable and helpful, and not just information, but also how you can utilize that information to better your goals. What's really nice about this is that you can get in front of not just folks who are looking to buy or sell now, but you can get in front of folks who are thinking about buying or selling, or may ever buy or sell. The way that works is, if somebody sees your content and they think, wow, that's a valuable piece of information, awesome, A, they're more likely to see that video or see a future video from you because they watched the whole way through for that original video. But then again, on following up on that is they're not only going to see your content more often, but they're going to have a really good feeling about your brand because you've helped them and you didn't push any agenda on them. You didn't try to buy or sell or send to your website immediately or anything like that. You're just being a force for good in their life. And if you do that, even if the person isn't ready to buy or sell this year or next year or the following year, you've put out content consistently that is going to help them when they do eventually buy or sell. And most Americans want to have a home in the future. So by doing this, again, the longer it takes, the more you're going to build trust and value for this. And then it becomes a situation where why would the person who's looking to buy or sell not go with you when they've been watching your content for 2 years and all you've done is ask or show them how they can get the best bang for their buck, how they can prepare, all of this good stuff. It starts to get a lot more in your favor that somebody is going to see this content and actually want to work with you. And then on top of that too, I want to talk about how you can also utilize the business in the way that it's the most importantly. So most of us understand that referral marketing is massive in real estate. And just to kind of drive that point home, I want to show you just a quick statistic here that really I think says a lot. So here are some, crazy real estate statistics from RIS Media, a really great article. But the typical agent earns 42% of their business from repeat clients and repeat referrals from previous clients. That's really important to know. 82% of real estate transactions come from repeat and referral business. 82% of all real estate transactions. 21% of agents get more than 50% of their business from referrals from clients. 25% of agents generate more than 50% of business from repeat clients. 92% of consumers trust recommendations from friends and family above all other forms of advertising. Huge note there. 82% of real estate sales result from agent contacts through previous clients, referrals, friends, family, and personal contacts. 65% of agents get no business from open houses. That's kind of irrelevant for this topic today. 88% of buyers and 84% of sellers would use their agent again or refer them to others. So, what does this mean? Not only does it mean, let's get on your referral game because that's where you're going to drive the majority of your business, but then on top of that too, keep in mind that this also applies to everybody else who's already worked with an agent before, right? They're way more likely to use their agent or a referral. So that is how much value you need to provide in your content. And as soon as you ask for something from your audience on social media, on the content you're posting out there, like, go to my website to learn more, or go check out my reviews, or go check out my current listings, or even like and follow. Whenever you ask anything, that is automatically creating a transaction in your potential client's brain. And the tricky thing with that is it just hurts your overall value proposition. If you go in there and you just provide value, you don't ask for anything, you look way more valuable to them, and that will continue to compound as time goes on and as they watch more of your content. That is the best way to build value on social media, which is ultimately how social media can be the most beneficial for you, not driving cold people who've never heard of you, who don't want your business right now, or there's only an 11% chance that they're actually even interested in what you're talking about. So instead, the last thing I want to talk about here to wrap this up in this very fast-paced video here is incentivizing for results. Because if we utilize that referral information, we want to incentivize folks to work with us in the future. And so, or to recommend other folks to work with us in the future. So that's super important to constantly communicate with your audience after you've already talked with them and continue to keep that relationship alive. This is where social media is really, really handy. You don't have to bother them with an email or a text. You can actually just follow up with them, say, hey, hope the home's going well. Just wanted to check in, see if there's anything I can help you with. That is great. If you're doing that every other month or so, or you find creative ways to do that monthly where it's not like pestering folks, that's huge. That's massive. So that's really important. But another quick thing that you can also do, and we're going to talk about this more in a later video, is just incentivize your audience through financial means. This sounds really obvious, but how much money do you spend on lead gen every single year? Probably a ton. Or you're spending a lot of time, which amounts to whatever, however many hours you work on that, multiply it by your hourly rate, right? Or I should say, how much money you make every single hour, right? So if you take your overall income for, like, let's say last year, and you divide that by 52, and you divide that by 40, you can kind of figure out roughly how much you hourly make if you were to take your last year's income and turn it into an hourly wage. So multiply that by the amount of time you spend on lead generation, and that's how much it's costing you. So instead, think about just actually incentivizing your previous clients with a financial means. So say, like, hey, everybody you refer me, I'll pay you $200 after they close. And that's huge because A, they're not just going to refer you anybody under the sun, but B, you're going to pay them $200 after you close, after you get your money for closing the transaction. And for most real estate deals, $200 out of your pocket going to somebody to get you the client in the first place is an easy decision to make, right? Easily financially viable. And when we think about the fact that most clients are coming from real estate referrals or previous clients, that becomes hopefully, a really easy decision to make. So hopefully that was helpful, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.